Welcome everybody, my name is Michael and today we're discussing about DeFi. It is one of the greatest changes of this decade, and by the end of it, we are going to see it absolutely take over the world. So today I also have a special announcement. We're making another YouTube channel, this time for work, pretty soon. It's still not been created yet, but I've already made my first sale at a new dealership, and now I have access to some pretty cool cars. So we're going to be doing walk around videos, and if anybody likes cars, well, I'm in car sales, so it'll be a cool channel. Anyways, I didn't make it sound cool because I'm like tired today, but I am excited, even though it doesn't seem like I'm excited. I am excited because 2021, besides the fact that Bitcoin and Ethereum are very high up today, $67,500 and $4,800 equivocally, I have to say that DeFi has made some insane gains from the beginning of this year, over 550%. And when you look at the TVL, when you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars locked up in DeFi, that is certainly something to consider. A lot of people may have overlooked this, but that's because they just don't understand it. And they might see a lot of risk in DeFi, and yes, certain projects are scams, rug pulls, but as with anything, whenever it's new, people will be skeptical. But pretty soon, everyone's going to want to jump on the bandwagon. And already people are trying to jump on the bandwagon with certain BSC projects because they say, oh my goodness, it is the next Dogecoin. It is the next Cardano, Polkadot, Solana, BNB, whatever it is. They want to become the next billionaire. And then, of course, the YouTubers making videos, this is the next billion-dollar coin, certainly doesn't help either. But let's discuss about DeFi's growth today, because it is astonishing and how quickly it has happened. I mean, the past year or two, this is where a lot of action has really happened, because you've had projects that suddenly have had massive 100,000% gains. You're not going to see this in the stock market. Now, of course, as whenever anything goes up so massively in such a small time, there's always a little bit of risk. Okay, maybe a lot of risk. So if you want to lower your risk, don't go 100% in. It's that simple. Maybe put a percentage of your portfolio in. That's it. Maybe have 5% of all of your cryptocurrency projects be DeFi. And once you master it, once you're doing a lot of research, once you have an idea of how it works and what's going on with it, then you can put in a little bit more, maybe up to 10%. But regardless, 550% when you're talking about billions of dollars, that's a lot of money. And that's a lot of newcomers that are suddenly coming into decentralized finance. So when you compare DeFi to centralized finance, it's basically the next big thing. Why? Because it gives more power to the users. Centralized means it's the banks and the governments that have the total control over the populace. While DeFi, anybody from their computer can make a cryptocurrency project that by tomorrow, as long as they market it right and as long as it actually serves a purpose, it's not just another clone coin, it could be worth even $1 billion, which is pretty crazy to think about. But welcome to the new age. 2022 is just around the corner, and cryptocurrency is evolving. One way to calculate DeFi and the rate that it's growing at is to look at volume, and look at the volume through exchanges, especially DEXs, decentralized exchanges such as SushiSwap or Uniswap. I mean, we've all heard about these DEXs. What's interesting is the number of decentralized exchanges and ones that are working with derivatives are growing, while normal exchanges for cryptocurrency, it's actually going down because you're having these monopolies. For example, Coinbase, Binance, Bitfinex, these are all exchanges we've come to know, and some of them have some of their issues, but the volume on them is growing, and the smaller exchanges, just like any other business in this world, either you get bought out, you try and grow, or you simply go bankrupt, and that's the way the world works. There is now more than $275 billion locked up in DeFi, and most of that is through Ethereum DEXs, such as Curve or Uniswap. So you have a lot of these normal cryptocurrency centralized exchanges that have either consolidated have been bought out, mergers and acquisitions, or you had these smaller cryptocurrency exchanges that simply had to shutter their doors. And this is normal. Looking from 2020 to 2021, you had a number well above 800, almost 900 exchanges, and the next year you had over 200 suddenly disappear. Now, probably half of these did shut down, while the other half were bought out, or they were related to one another and they merged together. So some of these exchanges are very localized. Maybe there's a couple exchanges for a certain country and everyone speaks that language. I know in Poland you had multiple exchanges that had to move out of Poland, and some shuttered their doors because of regulations. So I'm sure that in various countries around the world, some did have to shut down because of regulation. Others simply did not have enough volume, and if you don't have enough liquidity, then you can't run a business, especially when you're supposed to have millions of dollars readily available for all the users to play around with, because when you're dealing with margin trading and all of this, and DeFi is getting, you can't compete. It's basically like the mom and pop store, the analogy, the mom and pop store trying to compete against Amazon. Amazon will crush them, and maybe they'll even buy out the neighborhood store, Whole Foods, or any other chain, and then see ya goodbye. The mom and pop shop had all their traffic stolen. Traffic is limited in cryptocurrency. It's growing every single day, but it's limited. There's a finite number, and the growth, even though it's fantastic, most of that is going to the centralized exchanges such as Coinbase for the beginners, because people won't have a clue about DeFi and some of these smaller localized exchanges. So even though DeFi exchanges are growing, that's the next step. The centralized exchanges that aren't popular, that the YouTubers aren't discussing about, no one knows about them, so that growth doesn't matter. And the traffic that does know about them, it depends on the percentages, it depends on the cost of transactions, and they cannot compete against these larger exchanges. So thus, they had to shut down. But for DeFi itself, the total volume on the decentralized exchanges has grown by about 5.5 times the volume, which is pretty crazy to consider. So by the end of this year, we will have hundreds, I definitely think we're going to hit 300. We might even hit 400 or 500 billion dollars locked up, most of that being Ethereum based DeFi cryptocurrency projects. So as soon as we hit these larger numbers, for example, $3 trillion, $4 trillion market caps, it's going to be an interesting experience when you're going to be discussing about 300, 400, 500 billion dollars locked up in DeFi. And what happens when it gets unlocked in a year or 2 years? That money will go into other cryptocurrency projects as well. You're going to have more DeFi projects that pop up. Now, a lot of these projects are hyped up, and whatever it is, what it is, it's just an asset that people are trying to make money off of. It's a speculative asset, and especially risky at that. But some of these actually have real world use cases, and they're trying to change whatever industry they're directed at. They have revolutionary ideas, and slowly but surely, you're seeing some of these companies turn into actual billion-dollar corporations that have control and are providing hundreds or even thousands of jobs. Just look at Coinbase, just look at Binance. Think about how many jobs they have created in their own markets. Think about the number of crypto ATMs that are being produced every single day and put up. Pretty soon we're going to have 50,000 crypto ATMs. That's a lot of jobs right there. If there's a problem in this world, all it takes is one programmer to sit back at home, try and compile as much data as he can, think of an answer to that problem, and before you know it, you might have a DeFi project that actually solves that problem. So there's still a lot more to discuss, but this is just a basic video that we wanted to produce because, hey, it's pretty exciting stuff. We're approaching the end of the year. I think 2022 will be a very exciting year for cryptocurrency, regardless of where the prices will be, because as always, cryptocurrency is growing, money never sleeps, and that's it for today's video. So thanks so much for watching today. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy. See you. Goodbye. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.